If you're watching this video right now, you are a real one. Why? Because we just had one of the biggest altcoin shakeouts in crypto history over the last week. And you're sitting here today, you didn't get shaken out of the market. Instead, you've chosen to be here on a weekend to learn. And boy, are you going to learn in today's video, because I've got some real revelations that I want to share with you in terms of where we sit in the context of the crypto market cycle, what I think is next for the markets from a technical and fundamental perspective. And I also want to share some altcoins that I have been buying over the last day or so in today's video. One of the plays is relatively contrarian. A lot of people are actually selling this altcoin, but I've actually decided that it's a good opportunity to buy, as well as two other altcoins, which I think are really strong candidates to continue leading this push to the upside. Clearly, the market has started to recover. Will it sustain? That is something that we're going to talk about in today's video. So lots of alpha coming your way today. If you do enjoy these videos where I give you my thoughts on the crypto market as well as altcoin picks and alpha, make sure you are subscribed to the channel by clicking that subscribe button down below and hit that post notification bell, because sometimes these videos are super time sensitive. So to kick off the video, let's firstly discuss where Bitcoin sits from a technical perspective. Look at this wick, a major shakeout wick on the weekly, but it looks like we're about to close well above the range low, which is sitting at 58K. We did end up wicking down to 56.8K, but we've pretty much retraced that entire move to the downside. What a reversal on Bitcoin. What a swing in the market. And we can actually see that Bitcoin is now above the range low of the reaccumulation range, according to Rect Capital's chart, which essentially highlights Bitcoin's price action around the time of the halving in relation to previous halvings, which, spoiler alert, is looking relatively normal. So there's no real shocks here. Bitcoin often does have these post and pre-halving shakeouts, which end up resulting in accumulation phases, which are oftentimes followed by expansion to the upside. We'll touch on the Bitcoin cycle later in today's video. I've got lots of alpha to share there. But back to the Bitcoin chart, let's go to the lower time frame now. Looking at the 4-hourly chart, there is a level that was super important for Bitcoin to reclaim. It's a level I've been speaking about in my Discord, and that is the 61K level, which you can now see we are sitting comfortably above. This level definitely, in my opinion, does need to hold on the daily, but so far we are getting good signs that the dip was a deviation play, followed by a reclamation of that 61K range, which acts as a next support base for the next move for Bitcoin, whatever it may be. So definitely keep your eye on the 61K zone. I think there's a possibility we can come back down and tag it again, but that is the major zone that I am currently watching. Until proven otherwise, this is starting to look like a deviation play that moved to 57, which did shake a lot of people out. But as I'll speak about a bit later in the video, these shakeouts are so important in crypto to reset both the sentiment, the funding, and the greed of the market. You might be wondering to yourself, why did this recovery happen so quickly? What has prompted this recovery? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One, the market was looking oversold, especially on the lower time frames. A lot of panic and uncertainty. We did see stocks start to edge slightly higher, which did buoy the crypto market, considering right now stocks and crypto are actually very correlated, following each other quite closely. The other thing that was positive were the ETF flows on Friday. GBTC, which has been one of the main culprits for the net outflows in recent times, actually for the first time in 2 months ticked to the positive in terms of flows. So does that mean a lot of the unwinding of the futures GBTC into the spot ETF is now finished? I'm not sure. We do need to see this over a more extrapolated time frame, but getting a positive ETF flow on Friday was a big win for the market, and alongside equities is one of the major reasons why Bitcoin did recover. So those are a few of my explanations as to why Bitcoin did bounce. A lot of the alts are following. Actually, interestingly, when altcoins dropped, they did drop a lot, but they actually didn't drop relative to Bitcoin as much as I think a lot of people anticipated. I'm talking about on May 1st. Obviously, in the weeks prior, they did slightly underperform, but alts held up okay. And then on the Bitcoin bounce, they've extended their gains, especially, across coins like Solana, with PEPE, some of these alts we'll get into later in the video that are leading the market. Now, all the members of the Miles High Club, which is my exclusive Discord community, are eating pretty good this week, because I actually did a post on the 1st of May at 3:45 p.m., which did actually happen to be, I've pointed it out here on the chart, pretty much the local bottom before Total 3, which is the altcoin index, ended up rallying 10% to the upside. I did this post where I said I'm starting to add again, was lucky to have de-risked a solid chunk last week and again yesterday. This is something I was transparent about on my Twitter as well as on these YouTube shows a few days ago. Lots of fear and panic out there, but ultimately fear and panic creates opportunity. Focusing on the majors like Sol, with PEPE, Ton, Ondo, funnily enough, spoiler alert, these ended up being some of the strongest bounces actually from this major wick to the downside on the altcoins. I said I didn't think there was a rush to ape, but I'd feel foolish not trying my luck. And I ended up opening a few trades, both spot trades and leverage trades, which I shared in the Discord. I took this long on Sol. I closed it for a $3,000 profit. I took a PEPE long. I closed that for a $6,000 profit. WIF long, $5,000 profit. What else did I take? Ton long, $3K, and then near $750 for, I think, a $20K profit off that bounce post FOMC, which was great. But I am slightly kicking myself a little bit because I closed slightly prematurely. If I had kept those positions open, I'd actually be up around $80,000 right now. So I definitely, on the leverage side, cut my positions too short. But the thing with leverage is sometimes when you're happy with the profits, it's worth just locking in the win. You can't get too greedy in this market. So even though I could say, oh, I could have made more, I've got to be happy with what I did make and also happy that I did choose to accumulate spot when I did do this post when the market was looking pretty bearish. So all the members of the MHC are eating pretty good. So congrats to everyone throughout the week. And look, it's been amazing to see some of the messages from people in the Discord. I saw this one user here say to one of our full-time analysts that post chart setups in the Discord that he made more money in one day than he makes in a full week of 60 hours work because of his setups and answering questions and giving alpha in the group. I'll be posting in the bragging rights section. And if you do go into this channel, you can see some of the crazy profits people have been making. I just want to say congrats to everyone because, you know, they're some of my most loyal followers and viewers of the show that you might be watching right now. When I first launched the group, you guys didn't know what you were signing up for, but I think now, you know, everyone is starting to get an understanding and a feeling of what is in there. You might be wondering if you're slightly newer to the channel, how do I join the Miles High Club? Unfortunately, right now it is closed. I wanted to cap it as a relatively limited and exclusive group, but I will keep you updated on the channel if we do decide to raise the cap in the future. The waitlist is also currently closed. So my apologies to anyone that didn't make the cut. In the future, I will keep you updated if we do end up raising the cap again. So now let's discuss where we are in the cycle. I think this is a question a lot of people are asking, and I do have a few takes on this. Maybe some unpopular takes, but I think, you know, I've got justification for, you know, why I have these opinions on where we do currently sit in the market. And I also have evidence to back it up. So let's go through where I think we currently sit from a macro perspective. And then as the last segment of today's video, we're going to go through the individual altcoin plays on maybe a shorter time frame, why I actually decided to long a couple of altcoins today, my reasoning behind it, and, you know, what I think in general you should be doing if you are interested in the altcoin market. Before we get into all of that, I want to remind you that if you do want a place to trade with no restrictions, I recently partnered with Blofin, which honestly has been an amazing exchange to trade on over the last week or so. I've been testing it out. They have a lot of pairs, especially on futures. They are constantly adding to their spot pairs as well. And most importantly, if you are in certain regions where you struggle to access other exchanges, the fact that Blofin has no restrictions is obviously a massive, massive bonus. And I know a lot of you guys were asking me for options in the YouTube comments and in the Discord when it comes to exchanges. So in light of this new partnership, I've actually negotiated a very good sign-up bonus for you guys. Now, this is limited to the first 500 people. Already 250 people have signed up. So there's only 250 spots left for this. If you are watching this video on the day it's going live, and that is essentially for a $30 futures bonus for signing up and depositing any amount. So basically, if you use the link in the description, you'll get a $30 voucher to trade with, essentially for depositing anything, $1, $5, $10, etc. And what we are also doing for people that sign up using the link is we have a trading bonus campaign, which enables you, depending on the amount of volume you trade, to get an additional $20 voucher. Then if you trade even more volume, you can unlock a pair of AirPods, a Nintendo Switch, and as you keep trading, you can win an iPhone, MacBook Pro, and if you're a whale, you can win a Rolex. So you can sign up using the description below to trade with no restrictions, get that bonus just for depositing any amount, and then of course start to unlock some of these bigger prizes if you are regularly trading. But I really have enjoyed the UI experience of the application over the last week. And yeah, anyone that uses this link up to the first 250 people is essentially going to get access to that promotion to kick off the partnership. Now let's continue with the rest of the video, starting with the macro section. The first thing I want to highlight that I found really interesting was just a little bit of context on the current time frame of this cycle that Pentoshi posted, saying it's already been 679 days if you believe the market bottomed in summer of 2022, which of course I do believe. Either way, total market cap bottomed at the 2017 all-time highs. Quite interesting how cycle bottoms often form at the previous cycle all-time highs. If that is the case for this cycle, then I mean, that would be absolutely amazing, right? It means that there's a lot more upside to come, but we will see. Jury's still out on that one. Patoshi says, I can't believe it's been 1.5 to 2 years since we bottomed. Feels like it's only been 6 months. Time absolutely flies. And yeah, it's pretty crazy how quickly this rally actually happened. And I think it puts into perspective just how quickly sentiment in the crypto market shifts, but also how quickly things move in this market. So does that mean it's too late to get into the market? Does that mean the cycle is almost over? Well, I've got some context for you to actually put into perspective the time frame from bottoming in relation to previous cycles. Now, if you look at where we are currently, you can see that we are currently around here. This photo is a little bit outdated. We're actually closer to the 18-month region of the cycle. And if you look up until this point, you would be shocked how closely, as you can see, we are actually mirroring the 2015 to 2018 cycle, as well as the 2021 cycle, which is highlighted here in green. So this essentially means, from a time perspective, we are in the middle of the cycle. Now, there are arguments to suggest that this cycle is slightly left-leaning, so accelerated versus previous cycles. But even if this is the case, we're still relatively early from a cycle perspective. Now, are we early from a bottoming perspective? No. It's been, as Pentoshi pointed out, over 1.5 years since we did end up making our 2022 lows. However, from a cycle perspective, there is still a lot left in the tank from a Bitcoin perspective, and obviously that has knock-on effects to the altcoins if we just look at the fractals from the previous cycles here. You can also see, if you do look at the Bitcoin halving charts here posted by Rect Capital, that the typical really explosive rally for Bitcoin doesn't tend to happen until 6 to 12 months post-halving. So you've got to put into context where we currently sit. So if you want to pretend this is the 2021 cycle, where of course the peak happened in November 2021, currently we are still in the 2020 version of that cycle, which means we're still relatively early from a cycle perspective. So this is always good context to just keep in mind, because I was hearing a lot of talk about the bull market being over. I even played on that in the thumbnail of my latest video, the bear market beginning. This was a trope that I was seeing across Twitter. And I really think that's too premature to say, considering where we currently sit and considering the biggest rallies for Bitcoin don't tend to happen until post-halving. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that these shakeouts that we see around the time of the halving happened in 2016, happened in 2020, and happened again in 2024. And I believe these shakeouts are needed in the market. I think the bull market was moving way too fast. Meme coins were pumping. People were putting hundreds of millions of dollars into random pre-sales on Twitter. There was dozens of new launches per day. The VCs were getting super greedy with their tokenomics, their airdrop distribution. Bull markets need corrections to remain sustainable. Without bull market corrections, you cannot have sustainable growth. And what's the alternative? The alternative is a premature blow off top where retail comes in, they get absolutely rinsed, they get wrecked, the market crashes, and once again, no one trusts crypto for another 4 years, and maybe not at all, because this would essentially be the second time after 2021 that they would get seriously burnt. So that is not what we want. Anyone that tells themselves that they wanted a massive blow off top in April, I think you've really got to consider why you want that, because actually that would be unhealthy for the market. And a cool down is a great opportunity to focus on the market, research, accumulate quality altcoins, which we'll discuss at the end of this video, prepare, but most importantly, it sets up a more sustainable run for the latter half of the year or potentially even next year. So that is something to keep in mind, and it's a little bit of hopium to take away from that correction that, look, it was actually needed. We needed the cool down. It's healthy. Funding's reset. It also gave people a very good reminder on risk management. Even I was getting a little bit greedy. It definitely reminded me, okay, we need to take risk management seriously. And that first geopolitical scare a few weeks ago prompted me to de-risk some capital. And these are great reminders to get early in the cycle. It's better you get the reminder now than the massive blow off top where, you get overconfident and you don't implement risk management and you get absolutely wrecked. So that's just a point I wanted to make. Where do we currently sit in the altcoin cycle though? I think that's a question a lot of people are asking, considering the data that I'm referencing is related to the Bitcoin cycle. Well, if you actually chart the total crypto market cap, aka total 3, which excludes Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can see that if you line it up with the Wall Street cheat sheet, and this isn't a be all and end all, but it is a good gauger of sentiment, you can see that we're currently sitting between the disbelief and the optimism phase. So roughly in the hope phase of the cycle, as you can see here. I find it quite interesting that from a technical perspective, it is showing that we are roughly in this phase, considering I actually did a tweet the other day saying that I believe from a fundamental perspective that we are closer to the disbelief / hope phase of the market and not in the optimism / belief stage, which would mean we are much closer to a blow off top. Why is this the case? Because I saw a lot of people saying we're in the complacency stage, we're in anxiety, that was the cycle top, etc. I don't believe that we ever hit euphoria. So the meme coin run, okay, it was fun, but there were a few reasons to suggest that we never actually reached this phase. The first one is time-wise, we're still relatively early compared to previous cycles. That's something I discussed earlier in the video. The second point is most altcoins haven't really rallied much. I mean, there has been sector outperformance, memes outperforming, AI outperforming, but from a broader perspective, due to a few factors like dilution and just the fact that not much new retail is coming into the market, most altcoins haven't really performed that well at all. We need a bigger altcoin rally, a broader altcoin rally to actually build that belief. So I don't think that belief was actually built to even suggest we were near the euphoria stage. And as I alluded to before, retail never truly came back. So this is both a bad thing, but it's also an opportunity. So from a negative perspective, you could say, well, why would retail come back? What's enticing them to come back right now? From a more optimistic perspective, you could say, well, retail not being back is a huge opportunity because when we do get a catalyst, whether it be crypto gaming, whether it be the meme coin casino, whether it be a new killer application or dApp, there's so much more room for growth now because the market essentially is just full of the same degens that are essentially recycling money around. So there aren't many new net inflows. I tend to take the more positive outlook on this, that look, the fact that there aren't many new inflows is actually a positive thing because it means once this money starts coming in, and I believe there are many catalysts, I mentioned a few of them before, for this money to come in, that does create a massive opportunity for us because we are relatively early compared to retail at least. And you can see this in the metrics. YouTube views are still low. This is a retail indicator because YouTube's the number one retail platform for crypto, getting crypto information. Google trends are down. So Bitcoin search is nowhere near the 2021 peak. Same for crypto and altcoins. We can also see Coinbase, which is one of the most retail exchanges in the US. Its volume is still massively down versus 2021. It's not even a third of 2021. And the institutional volume is also down despite institutions leading this recent rally. So there is lots of hopium there to suggest there's still a lot of growth left in this cycle. And I think that is really important to recognize because, as I said, I saw a lot of people saying, that was it for the cycle. It's over. Now, I think it's important on this bounce not to get too carried away saying, look, we're going to go to 100K today, because I still believe we are in choppy periods. We may still see a bit of sideways chop, and we may also teeter with that Bitcoin support line again. I'm not ruling that out, but from a macro perspective, none of that should really matter. If you know where we're going in the longer term, it's all about pre-positioning for that eventuality, and I think most people are better off doing that than trying to trade this chop in the meantime. But in order to position yourself, you need to understand where the narratives are. You need to understand where the mind share of the market is this cycle compared to last cycles. Otherwise, you'll end up in a bunch of altcoins which significantly underperform. So before we get into the altcoins that I'm actually buying, let's talk about what alts are performing the best right now. Now, there is a clear leader in the market, and it is the meme coins. These are the coins that bounced by far the strongest on the recent bounce from those local lows. And this really signifies to me, if it wasn't apparent before, that this is the cycle of the memes. I think there has been a bit of a paradigm shift in the way that people view crypto, at least retail in the market. They're sick of the VCs. They're sick of the grifters that are trying to extract from the community with vaporware technology. And there's been this shift where retail's like, we don't care about your tech. We care about community. And I think the market is starting to wake up to this theory that meme coins are simply the reverse engineering of what it takes to script a crypto project. They're essentially putting community before tech rather than putting vaporous tech before community. Now, of course, I think technology is very important, and I think you need technology to onboard real use cases into crypto. Crypto gaming, AI solutions, L1, L2 infrastructure, DeFi, DEXs, borrowing and lending. You need all of this. RWAs, it's also important for adoption and getting capital on-chain, right? But there are elements which we can really take away from the success of meme coins that we can then start to pair with innovations of technology. And I really hope teams start to take note of this community first, community-centric approach and start launching products which take that into account, because that would make the entire crypto ecosystem much more effective, in my opinion. So meme coins are really the quintessential representation of community first in crypto, and that's why they've been running so strongly. And I've done videos on meme coins in the past and, elaborated on this thesis a little bit more. But you can see on the bounce, memes after Solana, ETH, and Bitcoin did have the highest volume in the entire crypto market. We can also see that WIF and PEPE led the bounce. These are two of the trades that I ended up taking in my Discord, in my alpha channel. You can see here, two of my largest positions and my strongest performers were PEPE and WIF. I wish I kept these open because these would be up like 20K each right now. But I'll be honest with you, I did take profits. But nonetheless, these are the coins that actually bounced the strongest. And I've been seeing these tweets floating around, like this observation here, which I think is actually quite shrewd, says, it feels like you can just hold WIF instead of Sol and just hold PEPE instead of ETH at this point. And to be honest, this is kind of true. From a price action perspective, PEPE is outperforming ETH. WIF is outperforming Sol. Meme coins are like beta plays on their underlying ecosystems. And I elaborated on this thesis a little bit more in my meme coin video, where I went through all the meme coin data, which I highly suggest that you watch. I'll leave a link in the description below because it goes through all my top meme coin picks, my strategies, and more. If you watch that video, you definitely would have taken advantage of the meme coin dip, because one of the things I said in this video was when you do get major dips on coins like WIF and PEPE, take advantage and accumulate them because they are the strong performers in the market right now. I'll also be doing another meme coin show on Monday because I genuinely see the signs here that there is a paradigm shift. And I always talk about identifying strength and playing strength in the market, and that's something I'm not going to fade. So aside from meme coins, what else did I buy during the dip? And am I buying now? That's the question. There is one coin that I actually bought today, and it was Friendtech. So I think I got in at around 130 to 140, but in the scheme of things, even where it's sitting currently right now, seems attractive at a 127 mil market cap. And at the start of the video, I said I had a contrarian take for today's video, because a lot of you probably will be thinking, Friendtech's trash. You may have cheated the airdrop. You may not like Friendtech. I tend to think, on a relative valuation perspective, a lot of people are now starting to fade it. Maybe too much so. I did like this tweet from Mippo. He said, fairest airdrop in ages, top 5 name recognition app, only way to gamble on Social-fi. Ansem said, Friendtech's the only Social-fi competition with Farcaster, which is already valued at $1 billion. Friendtech's at 120. Genuinely one of the easiest trades I've seen in a minute. Not even considering they've made 50 million revenue before even adding people on the app external to crypto. What I believe has happened here with Friendtech is a lot of the retail has cheated, but a lot of the VC/smart money is actually buying up this dip. That is the observation I have seen from a lot of smart money that I follow, in Telegram and on Twitter, etc. And I wanted a little bit of exposure to Friendtech, so I'll be buying dips on Friendtech, and I did take an initial position in this today. Want to keep you updated with what I'm actually buying as a play for the Social-fi narrative. I did a full thread on Social-fi on my Twitter where I actually stated that I think it could be one of the biggest narratives of this summer, and I still stand by this, and Friendtech's one way to speculate on that. What are some other plays? I might go through this in a future video. DGen is a decent play, etc. Now let's get on to some of the other narratives I'm looking at. Then I'll get into the time to buy question in a little bit more detail. AI, I think AI has recovered also quite strongly, but probably was a little bit oversold the week prior. AI is definitely something I'm looking at repositioning in. I told you I took a lot of profits, but I'm looking to ladder back in, especially over the next couple of months, as it may be a choppy period. AI does have a lot of catalysts that I think a lot of sectors don't have. So I've spoken a lot about AI coins in the past. One in particular that I don't have much exposure to that I was looking at adding is actually Render. I know there are a lot of GPU plays starting to launch, like, Ionet, Aethea soon, but I do think Render as the leader of the sector still represents a relatively strong proxy. There's also a few reasons for this. I really like this tweet from Gold, which said, Render's the only crypto with an Apple integration partnership, popular token, small runway for an event. Bitcoin and the market as a whole is not looking so dire at the moment. You can see here there's an Apple event hinting at AI features. So as a proxy, I think Render is the closest attached token. From a longer term perspective, AI coins in general, Render inclusive of that, do tend to encapsulate this real world news flow and hype that we do see exhibited from the AI sector, which is obviously one of the most compelling reasons behind why I invest in the AI sector. If you want a technical opinion on Render as well, it did pivot nicely from these lows at $7. It's recently broken above this resistance level, and I'm looking for a break of this diagonal here to watch if it does end up making a higher high on the daily and also the 4 hourly. So that's something I'm monitoring on Render. So is it time to buy now? That's the question. So let me give my best to kind of answer where I'm sitting. I took some profits. I was public about that. A month ago, I also de-risked a little bit a week ago at the start of all this crazy dip stuff. As you see in my Discord, I averaged back into the market pretty close to the lows. So I am up on those positions. I've taken some profits on the leverage stuff, but I'm still holding the spot stuff. I took a Friendtech position today. I've been adding and DCAing into some of my AI positions again, as well as Memecoin positions. Those are the two sectors I'm most interested in right now. But what I'm also doing is I'm taking a slightly longer term approach, because in the short term, I don't know what's going to happen exactly in the next couple of weeks. The market could chop, Bitcoin could rally back to 68, it could come back down to 59. I don't know. And I'm not going to make 6 to 12 month investment decisions based on a week worth of price action. What I'm more interested in is Q2/Q3 as a whole. We know these periods, particularly post-halving, tend to pose some interesting accumulation, sideways, choppy price action. How long will this continue for? I don't know. It could be 3 weeks, it could be a couple months, but we know it's not always smooth sailing during these months of the year. So if that ends up being the case, for me, this does become an accumulation phase before what I think will be a new all-time high for Bitcoin. And in that case, my goal is to average into quality in the market. So I did this full video, which were my top 10 highest conviction altcoins for 2024. If you're interested in learning more about my theses behind these coins, I highly recommend checking it out. There will be a link in the description. But I pretty much stated all of the tokens from a larger cap perspective that I'm accumulating. So you can see here, ETH, Solana, TON, Link. I'm really bullish on Link actually. Ondo as an RWA leader. Rune as a reflexive bet on the bull market. That hasn't recovered much. It's at interesting levels. Some AI plays. AR with their new supercomputer. AOS as an AI play. And of course, the meme coins, because meme coins have been pretty much leading this cycle. So I listed some of the plays that are slightly higher cap that I want to average into if we do see choppy market conditions, because every single dip gives you an opportunity to scoop up these coins. One of the ways I'm approaching this is not just manually adding on major dips or setting limit orders on major dips. It's actually setting up trading bots that can average in for me based on preset parameters. I did a video yesterday, which is basically an introduction to a new series that I'm launching on this channel, and that is the trading bot series. Link in the description to this video as well. It basically tells you my logic behind why I'm starting a new series on the channel. And the series is basically about educating you on not just the active strategies, but the passive strategies on the market where you can earn money while you sleep. Because trading bots are definitely becoming more of a solidified sector now that all this amazing new AI tech is starting to ship. And that's something you can take advantage of before the masses catch on to it. So I think automation in crypto is a huge new trend. I did this introduction for you to explain what trading bots are, why I'm doing this series, my logic behind it. On Sunday, which is tomorrow, if you're watching this video on Saturday, I'm releasing my first tutorial, which is going to show you exactly what I just discussed, how to average in over a long time period, efficiently and effectively utilizing crypto trading bots. So that's going to be super exciting. I highly recommend watching that video tomorrow. But that is basically my thoughts on the market right now. If anything changes, I'll give you a market update. We talked about some things I'm interested in, my accumulation strategy, my thoughts on the Bitcoin cycle, and a lot more. Remember, if you do want to trade, there's a link in the description below to Blofin, which is an exchange with no restrictions that you can claim your futures bonus as well as your prizes if you do choose to trade. The bonus is just for depositing. And I'll also leave a link in the description to all of the resources and videos that I mentioned. Hope you have a lovely, lovely, lovely weekend. I'm going to see you tomorrow for the first installment of the AI series that I'm really excited for. See you in the next one. Peace out.